I'm Sydney,
I'm Mary.
and today we're going to be debating class attendance. I am pro absence.
And I'm con absence.
If there is one thing college students around the world can agree on, it's that none of us want to attend class. This is especially true for our dumb classes. An example of this would be Foundations to Success, one that many of us have taken on SWS campus. The largest and most glaringly important reason for this opinion is that students are paying for their classes, and they shouldn't have their grades docked for their attendance in that class. There are no other institutions where the products a consumer pays for actively harm the consumer.
So the issue here is that when students just show up completely on their own will without repercussions, it becomes difficult to gauge whether they really earned their degree or not by the end of those 4 years or however many years that degree is associated with. And so you end up having an attendance policy that students will end up trying to miss as many as they can. And there comes to a degree where I think that there should absolutely be more flexible attendance policies. I think there are a lot of times that when students run into, oh my goodness, like I'm sick today, but I'm out of absences. And thankfully, I think that SWS attendance policy is pretty lax on stuff like that. But if you completely abolish the attendance policy, then there's going to be no inclination for you to come to class. And in that case, I don't think you've earned your degree. So that's the issue with completely getting rid of an attendance policy.
While I can totally understand how one might question the validity of a degree with little class attendance, there are many classes that don't contribute to a student's degree that students are forced to attend. From my personal experiences, there are classes like biology and computer science that don't align or contribute to my major. I also took those classes in high school, and if those aren't worth anything, then perhaps we shouldn't take them in high school. It's precisely classes like these that beg for attention and take away from our classes that are, for our major. And most importantly, students' grades should not be affected by a student's attendance simply because grades are based on work. And if they're not, then you have to question the morality of the campus. It's also noteworthy to mention that if a student can complete their work outside of class lectures, then perhaps lectures aren't that valuable. If I can leave my class, do all of my work, and not ever attend that class, then perhaps the lectures are unnecessary and a waste of both the students and the teacher's time. And that's, if it is more necessary to have a lecture than it is to have work, then perhaps you have to question the validity of the work you're assigning. Either one or the other has to be, I doubt they can be equal. I don't think that that's been done.
So you mentioned wasting the professor's time. If you're going to get rid of an attendance policy, then that means that you're going to have what originally would have been like a 30-person class. You're going to end up having like 3 students showing up to that class. And that's just a total waste of the professor's time. And also in the long run could end up like docking their paycheck. You could have like a class like potentially be completely abolished because the school falsely will say, oh, this class must not be necessary if no one's showing up to it. You could have a very necessary major class that just happens to be at an inconvenient time for students, and they could just not show up to that class. And then you would get into the issue of, okay, well, did these students even earn this degree? And B, is, on the other side, you've also got, okay, well, is this professor like doing what they need to do? And so you end up getting rid of a paycheck for a professor, and that could be negatively affected on their side, and then you're kind of stuck in an issue where it's really the students who are just lazy and are not coming to their class for something that they should learn and something that the professor shouldn't be negatively affected by.
Okay, so if you do not agree to avoid an attendance policy, do you suggest increasing the limited number of absences that students are allowed to have?
I don't think it's necessarily about the number of absences. SWO's policy is actually pretty lax in comparison to some other schools that I've been to. It's more about what makes an excused absence excused. I think that with SWO, even if you have a doctor's note or you have a very legitimate reason to be out of class, some professors will be like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And then other professors will be like, well, the policy says. And that's just where things get messed up. That's where you create bitterness amongst the students towards certain professors. And that's kind of a not good thing. So I think there needs to be a level of consistency and a better policy that is more kind to people who may have, I don't know, some people are just kind of unfortunate, and a lot of people may get married, or a lot of people may die,
unfortunately,
in the same month, and then they just lose a lot of absences or something, or they when it comes to the point where you have to like, okay, should I attend class because I'm scared of my attendance policy, or should I go to this funeral? Then you've got a balance there.
Right.
And, you know, that class may still matter, but there needs to be reform as to what counts as excused or unexcused absence. But if you completely get rid of the attendance policy, you're not going to come to that class, period. All right, I do have a question. Okay, so how would you regulate giving degrees to those who never come to class?
So I think going back earliest time to like elementary school, our grades have been based on our work. They've been based on every craft we've turned in, every assignment, every essay. And so the honest truth is that if I get class credit based off of my work and not on my attendance, then I earned my degree. You know, I put in the work. I do believe there has to be questioning of whether or not there was cheating involved. That's always should be under high scrutiny. But I won't say that I don't deserve class credit because I didn't go. If a college campus begins to wander into what else is contributing to class credit, then you do have to question a lot of problems. You know, that's how everything begins, is do you really have your degree based off this, and this? You have to question things like discrimination and whatnot if there are other problems. So honest truth, if I have an A in that class or I have a passing grade, I have a passing grade. I get my degree.
Okay.
To close, SWO Professor Lewis Knight told his class on the first day, or near the first day, when you miss my class, it's like throwing away a pair of new tennis shoes. Should I not be allowed to throw away my new pair of tennis shoes? A fair comparison would be throwing away new tennis shoes and it affecting your credit score. This is simply to say that if a student is capable of completing the course without attending the class, there's a larger question of class engagement and an even larger question of personal capability. Most students could and should be able to display their abilities to problem solve and complete work without required lectures. Another element to consider is the fact that many students are working whilst they attend school. Students have children. Students are married. Students have lives they're responsible for outside of lectures, and classes that do not affect a student's major should not require attendance.
As a student who hates early morning classes and late night classes, I would love a more flexible attendance policy. But completely abolishing attendance requirements would be a bad move for many reasons. Students always push the limits of policies put into place, so if you end up getting rid of a policy, you're going to have no one coming to the school, and you're going to have professors not getting proper paychecks that they deserve if they just totally abolish classes. And honestly, SWO's attendance policy is pretty generous in comparison to other schools. So though there are dumb classes that should probably be looked at and with under a scope, getting rid of an attendance policy entirely is not the solution.
Thank you.